Hey guys, I'm Christy Dodson. I'm the co-artistic director of the Overturn Theater Ensemble, and thank you. And I am here to introduce what I thought was a rock musical until I saw it, and I don't know how to label it now. But it is called Gladwell's Inferno, and it is starring Ian Temple, who created it, and Dan Silver. So give it up for Gladwell's Inferno!
Interest in out-of-the-body projection and astral travel has been on the rise with the recent expansion of human consciousness over the last few decades. And so before we begin, I would just like to ask by a round of applause, how many of you have had an honest-to-God out-of-the-body experience where your mind left the body, basically? Yes? Very good. Most impressive. I would like to begin, and soon we will enter the Inferno. But first, I would like to tell you of the first time I ever left a physical body. I was sitting in the back of my Culture and Society in the West class, where Professor Huntsville prattled on with his wise saws and modern instances. I'll try to sit a little higher. This is so painful. As he prattled on with his wise saws and modern instances, with his great beard and good cape on line, etc. And I began to drift into a deep, deep sleep, but not before I caught the gaze of the green-eyed girl sitting next to me, whose bronzed flesh seemed to sing to me. And so I began to drift into a deep sleep with my head cocked thus, so it would appear that I was in a state of deep concentration. You know how the young people do. And I was woke by a tap on the shoulder by the same green-eyed girl who giggled and pointed to the front of the class where Professor Huntsville, now quite irate, beckoned me to come down and to give my presentation on Mesoamerican cultures in the 1400s. Well, as a bit of a slacker, I was quite unprepared, and as I walked down to the front of the class, I could see in my peripheral the snickers and snidely giggles of my classmates awaiting my imminent failure. And as I turned to face my class, I felt an icy chill across my face, for I was not in my Culture and Society in the West class, but in the sacrificial pit of an Aztec ziggurat. And my professor had now become a shaman. And as he raised his staff that would mean my beheading, the green-eyed girl burst forth through the crowds, lay down and sang unto me, I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. I've lived my entire life to pay the price. I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. A sacrifice. No, I cried as they pulled her down and strapped her by her wrists and anklets. And I reached for the nearest object, which happened to be a katana blade. And I swung it vigorously at the Aztec warriors one by one and drove them back. I slashed her bondage, looked into her eyes, and sang solemnly, I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. Run to the forest, baby, don't think twice. I'll be your Aztec virgin just then the Aztecs surrounded me and forced me to drop my blade. When that great celestial event that happens once in a millennia occurred, a total eclipse of the sun. And seizing my opportunity, I stood on the nearest platform available and proclaimed, "I am the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, come from the east to take my revenge!" And then the guitar continued to play somehow. And they bowed down to me, and in triumph, I hoisted my blade to the skies and swung it in victory, clipping my finger in the process. It's this one, there's a band-aid on it now. And as it dripped down onto the sandy ground, the crimson lies formed pools of sandy beads in the sand. And I knew the jig was up. Once again I retired my blade. And as the Aztec warriors bore down on me with their spears glimmering in the sunlight, I heard a great call from the skies when once again the sun was eclipsed. The albatross had come, with his great wings spread wide, swept down upon me. And as he came, I heard, "I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. One day I'm coming for you, and it won't be nice, but for now, I'll be your Aztec virgin sacrifice. A sacrifice." I got a B+ on that project. And now we are going to leave the physical body. So if you will all relax with your feet flat on the ground, little ambient woo-woo mysticism music. Oh, yes, feet flat on the ground, right? So, on the count from 5 to 1, I want you to begin to see an emerald globe above your crown chakra at the top of your head. And as you breathe down the light, it fires down your legs, and in front of your solar plexus begins to leak forth an astral body. And on the count from 5 to 1, you are going to project your conscious mind into the astral body, leaving the old meat suit behind. Steel yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1! Oh, you all made it. Most magnificent. Oh, you in the back. It's actually clockwise. The chakra spins. Very good. Okay, great. That's everybody. Straighten things out here. Now, I'm going to take you to a magical, wonderful place. Unfortunately, not the lands of the overlords and the druids, where we don't have time. I know, sadly. But we are going to a much more beautiful land. We're going to a place called Lotus land. See in your mind's eye a blue globe of effulgent azure light. Sort of like the movie in Avatar, but twice as three-dimensional and 10 times as beautiful. Join me, will you? In Lotus land. It's so easy. everyone can wear a Speedo. When you're in Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land brings us together. Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land is always perfect weather. In Lotus land you can do no wrong, 'cause everyone who did is gone. And everyone can sing along. Lotus land's just one song, and it's 3 chords long, and it sounds like Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land is for you and me. Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land, baby, can't you see? Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land is gonna be forever. Brings us together. Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land brings us together. Lotus land, Lotus land is for you and me. Baby, can't you see? Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land, baby, can't you see? Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land's gonna be forever. Lotus land, Lotus land, Lotus land is gonna be for you and me. Yeah! Thank you very much. But sadly, as I said, Lotus land was not for me. But I have a curious tradition in Lotus land, where, in order to transcend one's attachment to their material possessions, when somebody compliments you on something that you own in Lotus land, it is customary that you offer to give it to the person. Well, somebody saw me checking the time on my dear grandfather's watch, which somehow comes out of the body with me. Go figure. And he complimented me on it and explained the tradition to me, and so I said, well, do people usually take the gift? And he said, no, not at all. Sort of had the California, like, no, man, kind of thing going on. And so I told him, yes, would you like to have the watch that you admire? And he said, yeah, man, and he took it. And he started walking away. And I said, you better give me that watch back before I help your neckerchief non-attachment from your goddamn head. And so I ran after him and I choked him. And I choked him and he passed out unconscious. And that's when I heard the sound in the background of the karma police. And I ran, and I ran, and I ran, and I flew, and I flew, and I flew, clutching the watch, and I plummeted, and I plummeted, and I plummeted, and I awoke in class. Psychology, actually, altered states, funny enough. And the professor, he noticed I was a bit out of it, so he invited me over to his house for a glass of wine. We were in grad school at the time. So I accompanied him, and we sipped wine, and I discussed the majesty of the mind, the intricacy and the power that the human mind has, and how it's been so slightly tapped, the human potential. And he was quite unimpressed, to say the least. Well, Gladius, this is all very interesting, but has this out-of-the-body hallucination of yours, has this ever hindered you with your scholastic studies? Well, there was one time where I was sort of supposed to give a presentation, and I found I was being sacrificed by Aztecs. Most alarming. Well, I'm going to prescribe you an antipsychotic medication. Won't be long. It won't affect your schoolwork or your regular faculties in any way, but it will put an end to these hallucinations. Well, I'm afraid I really can't accept, Professor. I've become quite enamored with them, and it's a part of who I am. Ah, I understand. That's a very nice watch you've got there, Gladwell. Do you mind if I hold it for a moment? No, not at all. Ah, beautiful, isn't it? Oh, look at how it rocks back and forth like this, Gladwell. Almost vexing, isn't it? Almost makes you want to go deeper into trance now, doesn't it, Gladwell? Almost makes your eyelids fall closed. Yes. Now you will listen to what I say, Gladdy. You will take the antipsychotic medication, and you will leave this astral projection nonsense to the ninny-nonnies and the woo-woos. Yes. Here's your watch. Thank you. And, oh, the wine is from Napa Valley. It's very delicious. Here's those prescriptions that you asked me for, the antipsychotics. So take them regularly, and I'll see you in class. Thanks for coming by. Well, the ruse worked. I took the medication, and I had no more out-of-the-body experiences. But where man closes the door, the universe has the way of opening a window, does it not? So while I was immune to the out-of-the-body projection, I was now susceptible to the past life remembrance. One day I was sitting in my study, my study. There was a great shock in the apartment, though the skies were clear. My house seemed to be in perfect order, but my hair was standing up like old Einstein, and my blender was positively charged, and then charred. And so I hopped in the car and drove to the local Walmart supercenter. And man, let me tell you, the power of love is so strong that it transcends time, space, and even the walls of Walmart. For as I turned to the 9th aisle, I saw a love that I had not seen in half a century in a past life. This is what it was like. I must have seen your face before. It was September 1944. You were a German peasant girl. I am an American soldier. Reached out my hand to touch your cheek. So terrified you couldn't sleep. Wanted to run, you were too weak. Past life love of mine. I met Walmart to pass the time. I was looking for a blender. Found my future bride in iodine. Past life love of mine. Those shining eyes divine. Won't you kiss me in the middle of the express checkout line? Well, I've walked through the bullet's hail before. Escaped a Nazi jail before. By the moonlight pale and without fail I'd slit their Nazi throats. Frightened as you are, I'm terrified. Hold me close, don't leave my side. I die for you, let me come inside. Whoa, past life love of mine. Come to Walmart to pass the time. I was looking for a blender. Found my future bride in iodine. Past life love of mine. With those lips like sherry wine. Won't you kiss me in the middle of the express checkout line? Then I felt a tremor, though her heart was so entrancing. I'd heard those sounds before. My God, the Luftwaffe was advancing. Let's get away, they'll bomb us all to hell. We escaped that cursed house before the wounded Mustang fell. Run with me, I'll keep you safe, protect you from the bullet strafe, the landmine blast, the barbed wire chafe. Hold me close, you supple wavy, past life love of mine. Come to Walmart to pass the time. I was looking for a blender, found my future bride in iodine. Past life love of mine, with those shining eyes divine. Won't you kiss me in the middle of the express checkout line? It's when I felt a tremor, that's when I heard the crack. It was an Allied sniper bullet, shot you in the back. And as your last breath slipped away, I distinctly heard you say, you promised in your native tongue, we'd meet again one day. And now this past life love of mine, come to Walmart to pass the time. I was looking for a blender, now my knife would be a never-ending past life love of mine, with those lips like sherry wine. So naturally, with a love like that, pent up for some 50 odd years, 60, I don't know, I've lost count. We slipped into a nearby box of XL women's panties and consummated our love. And I was quite unprepared, and 9 months later, young Gladdy came into this world. And times were bad, I'm not going to lie. I had to drop out of grad school, and I took a job at a local diner. And it was the only job I had available to me at the time. And I'm not ashamed of it, but it's what I had to do. But I am ashamed that I became so depressed by my outer circumstances that I fell into a deep, deep funk. And I thought I wouldn't return, but that's when my co-worker from college came, Small Jola, and he came to my house and said, "Gladdy, I've got $1 million idea. $1 billion idea." And I said, "I'm listening." And he said, "Well, basically, is anybody here familiar with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle? Would you care to explain it in 45 seconds or less?"
I'd rather you did, but...
Okay, tell me if I go wrong. Basically, a good metaphor is you take a laser and you fire it through a pattern. And the pattern spreads the light on the wall. And so the pattern is set, it will be there, but there's no way of knowing which electron will be where at any given time. It's only confirmed that the pattern will be there. Yes. So, the human mind works the same way. This is really the crux of the matter. Basically, what he found was that he could take a brain scan of somebody's mind, put it through a sort of a T-Pain auto-tune app, and would get melody. And in the criminally insane, it was quite discordant. But by creating slight modifications in the sound, combined with hypnotic induction trances, what could happen is it could be quite transformative, and patients could be cured within a matter of weeks. And I said, "Well, this is all very fascinating, but what's the big picture? I don't get it. I'm broke. What are we going to do?" And he said, "Gladdy, listen to me. 2, 3, 4. Wait, sorry, wrong sound. There we go. Listen to me, Gladdy. Wrong octave. Listen to me, Gladdy. Put show sign over tangent in the shock wave of your mind. As the wave function collapses, tell me just what you find. When Schrodinger's cat is puking hairballs in his box, I've solved our old equation, man's behavior pattern fluctuation. It's not so hard to see when modern technology will travel around the globe, rehabilitating the frontal lobe. Everybody gets another chance to learn to live life's magic dance. If no parole, at least for some. If we build it, they will come. We're building Delta over T. Human change, fraternity. Miracle of modern science will have so many clients in Delta over T. It's the new technology. You and me to pledge for Delta over T. 2, 3, 4. They say that sin is nothing but the symptoms of man's brain, and punishment serves nothing but the victim's sense of gain. Will prove these most unworthy sick can still be taught to love, for our new therapies fit their neuroses like a glove. We'll do a mental scan and then we'll chop the frequencies of these sick men and have machines to prune their own brainwaves on auto-tune. Well,
So advisor.
yay, the Bismarck to my Kaiser. Then those crooked quacks at Pfizer could at Delta over T. Human change, fraternity. Miracle of modern science will have so many clients in Delta over T. It's the new technology. You and me to pledge for Delta over T. Then we might might have gotten high. Sitting in my office shirtless, and I was looking at the hordes of people coming in to be healed. And for what reason did they need me to heal them? It would seem that I had the power of God in my hand, but not the love. And I didn't know how to handle this much power, and I began to become offended at God. Why should I be put on this earth to do your work? Why hasn't it been done before? It seems so easy. And in my darker moments, I began to become rather spiteful and have ideas of my own. If I were God, now listen close, for this is what I do. I don a jester's cap and robe and fly into the blue, and from my hand shoot fireballs that glitter across the sky. So every boy and man and wife did scream, "What's that so high?" And just no hint of doubt to creep into mine. I'd heal the sick and feed the hungry and give sight to the blind. But that's what I would do if I were you, if I were you. That's just what I would do if I were you. What else would I do? I'd resurrect old Charles Darwin just to freak him out. A brand new species called the flying manfish trout, and make him watch as I created it from empty matter. And make a leave the blonde wig on because I'm freaky. But that's what I would do if I were you, if I were you. That's just what I would do if I were you. Oh, that's a good one. kept this to myself, and the practice grew and grew and grew. And we were actually nominated for the Nobel Prize, so what else does a man with tons of money and power do? Has a party at his loft on the Upper West Side. Right on Central Park West, the 50-yard line, you might say. The whole thing blooming in May. It was magnificent. Everyone who was anyone was there. Politicians, actors, musicians, painters, artists of all kinds. If you had a name for yourself, you were at my inauguration party, nomination party, whatever. And in the midst of the party, I was sitting there drinking with my shirt off in the bedroom. And quietly, my wife came up to me and sang into my ear.